Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to see the working of selection sort. So here we will be studying one example and then the Python program written for selection sort. So let's start. Now talking about what is selection sort, right? So it is an algorithm which is used to arrange a list of elements in a particular order that can be ascending or descending. In selection sort, the first element in the list is selected, right? And it is compared repeatedly with the remaining elements of the list. If any element is smaller than the selected element, then both are swapped so that the first position is always filled by the smallest element in the sorted order. Next, we select the element at the second position in the list and it is compared with all the remaining elements of the list. And if any element it is found which is again the smallest element, then it is put at the second position in the list, right? Similarly, the procedure is repeated so that we can get a list in the ascending order, right? And for the descending order, we proceed the opposite steps, right? Here we are finding the smallest element, and for the descending order we can find the maximum element and so on. So let us see an example so that this particular procedure becomes very much clear to all of you. So here I have taken a list of 5 elements. I have indexed it from 0 to 4 just as we actually do the indexing in our list. So the first element is at the 0th index. Now selection sort says that please select one element, right? So here I am selecting the first element of my list as the minimum element, right? So I have supposed that okay, the element 50 is the minimum one, right? Now my task is to make sure that 50, the element that I have selected, is the minimum one, right? So I have one element. Now I have to make sure, I have to prove that yes, it is the smallest one, right? Now in order to prove it, what I'm going to do is compare 50 with the remaining element, that is from 18 to 26, that is from index 1 to index 4, right? So what we are going to do over here is I will be comparing 50 with 18, right? And on comparison, I can conclude that 18 is smaller than 50. So no, my assumption of taking 50 as my selection actually of taking 50 as minimum was wrong. So go for 18. So now min is equal to 18, right? Now this 18 will be compared with 5, right? Now min is 18. Now every time I am comparing min with the other elements, right? So now min is 18. Now 18 will be compared with the next adjacent element, which is 5. And evidently 5 is smaller than 18, right? So what I'm going to do over here is now min will become 5, right? Now 5 will be compared with 45. And yes, now I can say that 5 is minimum, right? Now, in the next thing, 5 will be compared with 26. And again, I can conclude that 5 is the minimum one. So through this particular comparison, or I should say by this iteration, I concluded that 5 is the minimum element of my list. Now if I want to sort my list in the ascending order, the position of 5 should be the first index, right? So what is the element on the first index? That is 50. Swap 50 by 5. So right? So you have to swap it with the first element, so 50. And you can see that now 5 is in its correct position. Now 5 is at its correct position. Now iterate again from 1 to 4, that is from index 1 to index 4. Now assume that 18 is the smallest element, right? Now I am saying okay, 18 is my smallest element. I will be repeating the same process, right? Now I need to prove that yes, 18 is the minimum one. How I will be proving that? I will be comparing 18 with the rest of the elements, right? So now 18 will be compared with 50. 18 will be, the minimum one, right? Now 18 will be compared by 45. Yes, 18 will be the minimum one, right? Then 18 will be compared with 26, right? So all the elements have been done and we concluded that 18 is the minimum one. So 18 is at its correct position now, right? Now, suppose that 50 is the smallest element. Okay, so now 50 will be compared with 45 and evidently 45 will be the smallest one, right? Then 45 is the min now. Now 45 will be compared with 26 and we concluded that 26 is the minimum one, right? So now correct position of 26 in the remaining array. Remember, this time we are not going to consider these two elements, right? So now we will be consider this rest of the element, right? So now 26 is the smallest, so it will be swapped to the first position, and now the first position is 50, right? Because we are supposing 50 is the minimum, right? So the index on which we actually supposed the minimum, we are going to swap this with that particular minimum, right? So now 26 will be swapped by 50, right? So what we will be getting? We will be getting this situation, right? Now 5, 18 and 26 are been sorted. We are not going to consider them. Now I have left with only two elements in my list. So the first element will be 45, right? And now I will be supposing that yes, 45 is the minimum one, right? And now 45 will be compared with 50 and you can understand that 45 is the minimum one. So here 45 will be at its correct position, and after that what we will be going to do is we will be taking 50 again as the minimum one, but it do not have any other elements to compare with. So we will be concluding that this is our sorted list, right? So that is how we actually sort elements using selection sort. We select the first element to be the minimum one and perform the comparison, right? So that was a quick explanation of how selection sort works, and now let us move to Python screen so that we can make a program for this particular logic. Right. Like all other sorting algorithms, I will be making a function for selection sort, and for the ease, I will be making the name as selection sort, right? And again, there will be an input to my function that will be nothing but a list. Okay, so again, here what we are doing is we are taking each and every element of my list as minimum, right? So first iteration we have taken the first element as the minimum one, right? In the second iteration I have taken the second element as the minimum one, right? In the third iteration I have taken the third element. So it is in sequence 1 2 3 4 up till the end of my list, right? So the best thing is to make use of a for loop. So for I in range, now till when this particular for loop should iterate? Till the length of my list. That means each and every element at least once should be supposed to be as the minimum one, right? So up till the length of my list, because I do not know the length of my list, right? So here, after that, what I need to make an assumption that the first element is the minimum one, right? So I take as min index as a variable and let it be I, right? So in the first iteration, the value of I will be 0 because by default range starts from 0. So minimum index is 0, right? So the element which is at min index, that is the 0th index, is the minimum one that we have actually done. So here I will be writing as this is the supposition or the assumption of minimum. So here we have supposed that minimum element, right? Now what I need to do is this minimum element should be compared with the remaining one, right? So in the first iteration I will be 0, so 0th element should be compared with the index at the element at first index till the end of my list. So again I will be using a for loop. So for let's say j in again range. Now range should start from I plus 1. See how this is working. Let me again take the example. So my list was initially, let's say 5, then I had 18, then I have this, then this, and that was my list, right? So this is LST, right? And here I am writing the indexes, right? So that you can actually understand what I'm talking in terms of programming. Now this is my index. Now what we have supposed that min index, right? Min index is equal to 0. That is element at 0 is the minimum one, right? Now this 50 should be compared to index 1 to 4, right? So 1 to 4, these indexes should get compared. So 50 will be compared with 18 onwards, like this. That is very clear, right? In the next iteration of this particular for loop, in the first iteration it was 0, right? In the second iteration, min index will be equal to 1, right? That is, we are going to suppose that 18 is the minimum one, right? Now 18 will be compared from 2 to 4, right? One more I need to tell is that min index in the next iteration will be 2. So I will be suppose whatever element we will be swapping also, but the logic says okay that if this is the minimum, then it should get compared with 3 to 4 in terms of index I'm talking right now, right? So if I'm taking it as 0, and 0 is I, in the first iteration I is 0, so this is nothing but I, right? So this I is 0, so it is compared from 1 to length, right? It is compared from I plus 1. So it should be like I plus 1 till the length of my list. Now this is something you need to understand, but it's very easy, right? So if 0 is the index, then 1. If 1 is then 2. So it is starting from 0 plus 1, that is 1. It is starting from comparison, starting from 1 plus 1, that is 2. So this is I plus 1 up till the end of my list. Now this is for the comparisons. Now what we are going to compare? Now if the element which is at the min index, right? If that element, just the element which is supposed to be the minimum one, if that minimum element is greater than the next element which is j, right? If that is the situation, what you need to do is you need to make the min index, right, equal to j, right? Then the index will get swapped, okay? Or not swapped, but that particular element which is the smallest one, the minimum index should be of that one, right? So min index will become j if the element that I have supposed to be the minimum is not the minimum one, right? So that is the case. If that is the case, then I need to come out from this if statement and this for loop. If that happens, then what I need to do is list of I, that is the minimum that was supposed initially, the minimum one, should get swapped with the element at the min index, which is now j. So I need to swap it, right? So in swapping, I will be writing min index over here and comma. In Python, swapping, as you all know by now, is very easy. So we have just swapped the element. Now that is all with the program of simple selection sort. Now in order to check this, what I need to do is to take a list and let the list be, let us say, a random number. So that was the example which we have taken, right? And here I will be printing it before sorting, right? So you can always customize the print statement as per your needs. I'm keeping it a little simpler. Selection sort and my list, and then I will be printing after sorting, and that will be my list. So that is all with the small program of selection sort. So Python keeping its promise that I am a concise language. So you can see that such a small program, and here we have sorted the complete list that we have provided in the ascending order, and of course you can change the sign and you can also make it for the descending order as well. But here I got my correct answer with the help of selection sorts logic. So that was all for this lecture, and I hope that you understood the logic of selection sort as well as the program. And for more such videos on Python, stay tuned to my channel. Thank you.